Well, I'm Ken Sereno. I was born to Morris Hospital October 30th, 1926, so I'll soon have my 90th birthday. I went to 12 different schools by the time I got out of the Army. I started in 1980 as an alderman at Morris Alderman, and I retired from there last year after 34 years. And I didn't know what to do with myself, so I started doing history, and I spent about 4 years going through the library microfilm, so I've been kept busy.
Who was SHABBONA?
SHABBONA was a friend, a lot of people know. In fact, there's that violin up on top of that family was real good friends of SHABBONA. But there was going to be Indians were going to raid and kill all the white people, and SHABBONA heard about it. They wanted him to join in his group of Potawatomis, and he said no. And so when he went around and his son one night and told all the people about this massacre that was going to come, and they all went down to Canton, and that was in 1832. And it only lasted about a year, but they weren't here but a little while, and they had to leave and not come back for 6 months or something like that. That was quite a deal. He had up in SHABBONA Grove 2 miles square of land given to him, but he went out to see his friends in the reservations out west, and the government thought he'd left it, so they sold it. When he comes back, he didn't have any land. So some people from Ottawa raised the money and bought him 20 acres south of town in Norman Township. Oh, and they threatened him. They even killed his son, and he was really put out. But they put a little house for him. He wouldn't live in it. He slept outside. But they did that in 1857. He died in 1859, so he was only there 2 years.
When did the town of Morris get chartered?
It was incorporated. 1853 it was chartered. In 1856 it was made a city.
What was life like in early Morris?
Well, think about going out in the timber and look around. What do you got? Nothing. Maybe that land was worth more than $1.25. You know, they had to cut the trees. They came near. They settled near the trees because they had water on the river, and they had the trees to make their houses, make their furniture, anything they wanted to do. The fire, something to burn. And they didn't have steel plows till 1845, when John Deere made the steel moldboard. They couldn't plow the prairie. There was times that a man on horseback, you couldn't see him. That's how tall the grass was. If they went during the night, they had to go by the stars or they get lost.
Morris was the area's first European community. Why?
Well, I would figure that it's probably the good land that was here, and later when the canal came, or they knew the canal was going to come, so they come ahead of time. And it's still a long ways from Ohio, Virginia, New York. Adventurous people wanted to have something new, you know. They said that was out west.
Why was this location picked by both Europeans and Indians?
Well, I think someone worked on the Erie Canal, and that was over, so they came here. And when they could come down the canal, that was a lot better than, imagine taking a wagon through timber, going across creeks.
When did the people start settling here?
They started trying in 1829. The Hogues came, and they came just to look, and then they went back and got their family, so they came about 1831, the first farm family. Then 33, the 30s, 1830s was the biggest movement of people. And the families are still here. The Collinses, the Hogues, the Holdermans.
What businesses were in the area?
They had the saloons, of course. That was the first thing to get done. The doctors came in the 1850s. Otherwise, you medicated yourself. But somebody had to make the wagons. Well, some of them, it was 20 miles to the nearest neighbor. So the Indians were friends. We had shoes in 1841. They made their own buggies, made their own clothing. They had the sheep, you get the wool, they made their own clothing, but then they eventually bought their raw material and made their own clothing. My great-grandfather had a store here in 1857, made it as a shoe store. Said he had been in business for 17 years.
Where can people go to find out more information on the early days of Morris and Grundy County?
Well, you can go on the internet, or you can go to the Morris Library on Liberty and North Street, or you can come to the museum on Illinois Avenue, West Illinois Avenue, at 510 West Illinois Avenue. We're open on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays from 10 to 3. And we'll give tours if somebody calls for a group at any time. Admission is free. We're glad to have you anytime.